Mm.
Uniform, and I've been collecting pins, which is nice. Yeah, I've got quite a few already actually. Yeah, I bought some from all the other exchange students and then the other NZ students, and I also went to the zoo and like at the 3 Country Point I got a pin there as well. So yeah. And then I got one from one of the other exchange students who have gone home now from America. So yes.
And what's the is there any industry in the town that you live in, or is it just a service town, or?
Well, it's actually quite a lot of industry.
Yeah, because I haven't seen too much of it. We've just driven around.
Yeah, well, how are we going to explain that?
Well, yeah, it is countryside.
Yeah, countryside. We were not in a big city, of course, but
Yes.
There's a lot of technical companies in this part of the country, and well, it's one of the bigger towns in this area. So we have about 60,000 people now, and 100,000 in the municipality. It's pretty stretched out. Yeah, industry.
Well,
they want to say like it's a tech zone. So they want to try to make it a technical
hub.
Originally, we did a lot of different wires, like different materials that were used, that were spun in wire types. So, for example, the Twaron, which is like a Kevlar kind of wire, is still being made here. And yeah, there's a big company in the Netherlands, AkzoNobel, which is now a joint venture because the Danish got in as well. And they do a lot with polymers. So we have like quite a few plants here that will make polymers and make wires out of that. And
yeah,
stuff like that.
and bio-based information.
Yeah, bio-based. They're really into that now, making all kinds of different types of polymers that are easily degradable and stuff like that. So.
And does everyone still have a black bicycle in the Netherlands?
Oh, everyone has a bicycle. Everyone has multiple bicycles.
How many do we have in our shed now?
No, we have 5 or 6.
Yeah.
6. We've got bicycles in the shed.
Any electric?
Sorry?
Any electric bicycles?
Yeah, we don't have them. But like my mom, for example, who is going on 70, she likes to use her electric bike, and your parents as well, right?
Yeah, but more and more people are getting them. Also, my students who have to cycle quite a while, like there's some of them that will have to do like 15 to 20 kilometers, and that's just one way to the school. They get electric bikes as well, electric assisted bikes. So it's not just for old people.
Yeah, I'm not allowed an electric bike because of insurance and stuff.
Which is
But you only have to bike 5 kilometers to
yeah,
school,
that's
so it's not that far.
It's not bad at all.
And it's all flat.
And it's flat.
And it's flat, yes.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be much need for mountain bikes then.
Yeah, no, you don't need a mountain bike.
I managed the Hauraki Rail Trail, so I had 160 kilometres of trail, and we've had to close it down because of COVID. What cycle trails are in the area that you're in?
Are they dedicated cycle trails or are they on-road options?
Oh yeah, so next to the main road, there's sometimes like a footpath, but like for bikes, so it's a bit like wider. And then in some places, there's just like a red painted like strip on the side of the road, which is for the bikes. And like bikes have right of way everywhere. So if you're on a bicycle, they're like, well, not everywhere, but they like, yeah, mostly. So usually it's like next to the road, there's like a separate road for the bikes. Yeah. Which is really cool.
So I guess that means you can cycle safely pretty well anywhere in Holland.
Yeah, Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I wouldn't want to go cycle in Amsterdam or something because I feel like that would be really busy. But it's really.
Yeah, but probably a lot
Yeah.
safer since there are no cars allowed there. So yeah, nobody will look. Yeah, no, that'll be interesting.
It is less busy in this part of the country, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's safe to bike everywhere, which is awesome.
So, Cara, how are you getting on though? Having to cycle on the wrong side of the road.
It was a bit confusing to start off with, and then I kept getting confused with the give way rules, and I kept stopping, and then people in cars and like other bikes would be like, "God."
I always tell people there's a reason they call it the right side, right? So.
It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, but it was definitely a bit concerning at the start.
Of getting in the car and going to the wrong side of the car.
Yeah, just like,
That's
like
still
right,
happens.
yeah.
Yes. So you obviously won't have had a chance to go flying with anyone yet.
No, I haven't. I really want to still, but I don't think I can yet. But that's definitely on my list this year.
Good. Any Rotarians in your club fly?
Yeah, I haven't met them yet though. They're at one of the meetings that I went to, but I didn't get a chance to talk to them, which was a bit sad.
There's one that does fly a small unmotored plane, and we have a lady in our club, and she owns a helicopter company. So that might be a nice.
Yes.
Yeah, and she's really nice. So I should talk to her about that.
I guess you'll have a chance there. Yeah.
We're not allowed to fly now.
Yeah, I got a Rand's email thing. Yes.
So we're not allowed to fly. We're not allowed to go fishing in our boat.
Wow, really?
And the reason why they've stopped everything like that is that if there's an accident, it'll call on emergency services. And that's what they're concerned about.
Same thing with cycling. I normally cycle a couple of k's a week, but I haven't been out on the road since last Tuesday, which I shouldn't have gone on the road, so I was locked down since Saturday. But yeah, it's sitting in the garage, move the car out of the garage and I sit in the garage and ride the bike there, or go for a run every day.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone else got any questions for Cara?
No, Cara, just keep positive. It's really good to hear from you, and you've been really good, been looked after really well, and we thought you'd be a great exchange student, and you've proved us completely right. So well done.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's doing well, and it's really nice to talk to you guys again. And thank you so much.
And thank you to your host parents who are looking after you so well.
Yes,
And also, we also have impeccable English. So,
It must
better
be,
than our Dutch. Better than our Dutch, Peter.
definitely. Mine's double.
it must be very hard to learn English when to concentrate on Dutch when you all speak such good English.
Yeah, that is a bit of a trap. Yeah. At school, everyone spoke Dutch though, which is good. The English was good when they spoke to me. It was nice being able to. It was helpful hearing them speak Dutch to each other and trying to understand things. But yeah.
But you have your book and you're practicing a lot, so.
Yeah, but everyone's so good at English.
Yeah. That's why we say tomorrow, as of tomorrow, we'll try to do only Dutch.
Only Dutch. How that goes.
Well, she understands everything, really. We can't say anything to each other anymore in private because then she might know what we're saying.
Very well.
Very well.
Well, we'll at our next meeting, we'll let you speak English though, Cara.
Thank you.
You should try Dutch on them. See how that goes.
Yes, give us a sentence in Dutch, Cara.
It's a good sentence. Ik zit op de bank.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the couch.
Oh dear. Oh, look, it's wonderful that you're enjoying it so much, and thank you again for looking after us so well. It's great. And hopefully one day you'll be able to come out to New Zealand and we'll be able to meet you in person.
We would love to.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be great. Well, thank you very much, Cara. It's been wonderful to have a lovely chat with you this morning, or this evening for you.
Evening, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll look forward to doing it again.
All right.
So we've got a good collection of our members online here, which is great for our first effort that everyone was able to handle the technology. It's awesome to be able to do this, isn't it?
Sure is.
Just wonderful.
Great idea.
Now I invited Diana to join us this morning. Hi, Diana. Diana is the CEO of the Hauraki Rail Trail, as most of you will know. And I just thought, Diana, you could give us an update on what you're doing regarding the funding.
Hey,
So what?
thank you for the invite to come along, and we're in a really exciting time at the moment. I did have a discussion with the ministry yesterday, Warren, just to see where things were at, because as you may all be well aware, we've got the wonderful Rotary Shelter project is underway with regards to leveraging the funding that you've so generously put on the table for the trust. And Warren and I worked quite hard in the first week of March there to formulate a application to the ministry, and we looked at the $15,000 that Rotary had put on the table, and we were fortunate that the ministry said, well, they were happy to look at the how do you call it, as in-kind contribution, your actual labour to actually create the shelters and things like that. And we worked through about what that might be, and Warren did a whole pile of work on what the hours might be to do something like that, and also the ministry gave us an indication of what the numbers might be. So what we've managed to achieve so far as the application goes, and I heard from the ministry yesterday that it has been favourably received, so we don't know when we'll actually get the outcome from that, because of this lockdown situation, even though working in a different way at the moment. But we've managed to turn that initial 15,000 and the promise of a potential another 15,000 after the 1st of July into a $180,000 project. And that is absolutely outstanding that we've managed to actually leverage that to a point that it may well be that we can get our entire shelter project done within 18 months, thanks to the generous support of Rotary. So we're very, very pleased to hear that. The question that I think the ministry, their roundtable discussions over this week through a similar forum to this was, did we need 16? I've argued back yesterday that absolutely we need 16 shelters. With 160 kilometres of trail, that's only one every 10 kilometres. And the majority of our people, of course, are either 65 plus, and 10 kilometres, being able to sit down and just take a break, learn something about the area and then move on, is actually a reasonable sort of request, I would think. So we're just working through about what's actually possible, and hopefully within the next 4 to 6 weeks we'll have an absolute answer on where that might be. So really happy with the design work that's gone on, Warren. We've also been working, of course, with our big extensions going on down to Matamata and also up to Kaiawa. And of course everything's had to go on hold and lockdown as a result of this shutdown, which has been a bit unfortunate, but we're hoping it's not going to have too much impact. The one area we are concerned about impact is actually the section to Kaiawa. We've got a little 2 kilometre section up there that can only be built in April, And if we miss that window, then it's going to be April 2021 before we can restart that. So we're just sort of looking at and just watching every day to say, well, what's possible? More money to meet the setup fees a second time, because as you know, with big construction projects, always costs a lot to get the machinery and everything on site, and we might have to disband that and then restart it again next year. So everything's in flux, but it's also still sounding very, very positive. We are working with WSP at the moment on an enhancement strategy, which includes the rotary shelters, and that is due to be finished in May next year. We had to cancel all our workshops, which was really unfortunate, but we're going to be working through this sort of environment on some smaller workshops, and hopefully they'll go ahead later this week and earlier next week, and there'll just be small pockets of people will be pulling into those workshops. So Warren, I'd like to invite you along to one of those as well. So there's all this sort of happening, but we are still aiming towards the Trust Waikato grant. And for those of you who didn't know about Trust Waikato, we applied to them in November last year for $100,000 to get this strategy sorted. I'm sorry, my computer's bouncing around a little bit, and I know why, because it's sitting on my knee, and I'm going to go sit it on the table so it's not bouncing so much. It might make it more comfortable for you watching me. Here we go. Ta-da! That's probably a bit more comfortable for you. So Trust Waikato came back to us in December and said, look, Diane, we love what you're doing. We love the direction you're going with the Hauraki Rail Trail. And rather than put $100,000 on the table, we seriously want to look at putting 7 figures on the table. And so we had to withdraw our application for $100,000. I've had to go do a whole pile of work to try and still seek that $100,000. And yesterday we got the news that we actually achieved that. So even in lockdown, we're marching forward with our plans. We're marching forward with the Rotary project. We're marching forward with our fundraising. And I'd like to think that my focus is on the next year and a half, 18 months time, having a $5 million project ready to roll out. Some of you might have noticed or heard in the news just in the last couple of days that the government has opened up a new fund for large capital infrastructure projects. These include, and this is outside the PGF and our normal cycle trail kind of funding that we've got, and we've already put and flagged that we have a $2 million project to put into that fund as well, should we be fortunate enough to get it. So I've got to say that while we might be in shutdown, my office is really, really busy, and I've had a lot of conversations and a lot of things going on, but I can't do what I do without the fantastic support I have from organisations like yourself. You just make my life so much easier, and it's just really satisfying to have that level of support coming from the community. So thank you. So any questions on that? No?
Well done. You're a great ambassador for the district, Diane.
Thank you, Chris. It's been the best job ever. I come from a very strong tourism background, and I've worked in a lot of different areas, from transportation to cruise ships to traveling Australia, New Zealand, buying tourism product. I spent 3 years down in government investing in over $100 million worth of projects during my time there, and it's been, you know, all these things have been really fascinating, but I've been able to bring all this fruit to bear on the Hauraki Rail Trail, and we're really noticed that within 3 years we are the governance model for New Zealand. We are the strongest trail in New Zealand with regards to where we're heading. Sadly for me, Cara, you might understand, I was meant to go to a conference over in Alice Springs this year, and unfortunately I've had to actually come back from that. Well, I say come back, I've had to cancel that now because of this. So we're being recognised, you know, certainly in Australasia as being one of the best cycle trails in Australasia, and unfortunately if I'd have gone there, chances are I'd still be stuck there now. So, so pleased that I've managed to be able to stay home and stay safe. But I take my hat off to you, Cara. Wonderful thing you're doing over there. And just listening to you, what a wonderful person and a lovely advocate you are for New Zealand and our youth. And it's so good to see just such a proud job you're doing on our behalf. So good on you.
Thank you.
We better go and do some homework now, Cara.
Mm. Cool.
Thank you, Diane. It's been wonderful to have you on this morning, and a great update. And we'll certainly look forward to getting these rail trail shelters erected, and hopefully we'll be able to have a giant rotary rail trail event where we can all cycle down the whole rail trail and check it all out. Hopefully we're all fit enough then to do it.
Might have to do it as a relay process.
We could, yes. We might have to borrow some electric bikes.
Yeah.
Look, just one last note that with regards to, we've closed the Hauraki Rail Trail. I know there's been a lot, I've had a lot of feedback, good and bad, with regards to that process. And many people have been really up in arms about the fact that we've closed the trail, but there was a couple of really big factors in that. The trail itself is only 2.4 metres wide. We cannot give 2 metres of separation when the push bikes themselves and their handlebars are 500 to 700 wide. We can only give a metre separation. And the advice from the government is certainly go cycling, go walking. So that's been a bit of an oxymoron against the stay at home, stay safe message. But we looked at the trail and we thought, we know how much people are passionate about the Hauraki Rail Trail. We know it crosses through many of our small communities. Obviously the pieces that go through townships are still open, but the rural areas we've had to close because the rail corridor itself wasn't wide enough. The other thing that sat in behind that was with the shutdown and only emergency services, we aren't able to actually look after or maintain any of our toilets. So not only do you have a developing biohazard just from the fact that they're public toilets, but there was no way for us to keep them clean, and anyone touching with COVID would be almost 100% transmission to anybody else. So we just had to make that really tough call. And that's been, in many ways for us, I suppose, now that we've heard the sad news that Matamata's got community transmission, and that's the southern end of our trail, people are still wanting to cycle between, say, Matamata and Te Aroha return, Thames to Paeroa return, Paeroa to Waihian return, and you could just see how easily the cycle trail could become a transmission method, and we just want to try and avoid that. So there was a whole pile of other reasons as well, but those were the two big ones. So I do apologise if I've restricted any of your enjoyment, but the message is stay home, stay safe. If you do need to go for a walk, walk local. Cycle local, as Cara, you mentioned, there's not so many cars on the road at the moment, so you can still get out there and get some fresh air and look after your mental health in a way that doesn't involve putting you at a higher risk.
Well, thank you so much. And we look forward to a wonderful year ahead once the veil of the virus is lifted from us. Hopefully the Australian cure will come on stream pretty quickly and be successful, which could be fantastic if it all works.
Cara, for your host parents, this could be their science project. Finding the cure.
Come up with a cure.
The cure. There's a lot of countries working on it. There's some joint ventures in Europe. One of them has like 2 Dutch universities in there as well that may have found something as well. But before they actually have found something, and we're a year, in the worst case scenario, a year and a half ahead in time. So, yeah. So.
I was going to ask you, is Brexit having any effect on Holland?
Well, it's Brexit. Well, there's a lot of trade in the European Union, so obviously it's going to affect us. We're preparing quite well for it. Britain isn't. I'm sorry to say. Our marinas and everything where transportation is taking place, we're all getting ready to make sure that there's going to be a border again. So. Yeah, that's a big thing, but we're getting a lot of out of it as well, because a lot of companies are leaving London right now because it's not going to be part of the European Union anymore, and they're dispersing over Europe. And Amsterdam seems to be quite interesting for a lot of big multinationals to go to instead of London. So if anything, we're getting better off it, it seems. So.
But right now it's the least of the worries of people,
yeah.
and I think
Yes.
it's something that kind of went to the background, even though it just happened. Right now, the economic recession for other reasons is way bigger, so we don't really notice it right now.
So the government's supporting you financially well, you know, for people out of work?
Yeah, there's a lot of supporting systems coming up right now. Companies that can't open at all, they get like some money to overcome these couple of months. I'm a board member of the commercial club of Emmen myself as well, and we also joined up with another commercial club in the area to put on some kind of a help desk for other entrepreneurs. There's also support for people that have to let go of their personnel for a while. They can get like money from the government to overcome that. So yeah, it's all in motion right now, but still a lot of people will have a lot of effect on a lot of people. But yeah, I think the government is trying to put in a lot of efforts to help the commercial businesses at the moment. And we try to help each other. We buy local.
Yeah, sure.
We went out for dinner tonight, takeout. Yeah, we try to all do our part, and I'm lucky myself because I can still do a lot of work from home, so I'm not that much affected. One of my clients has I have less work from that, but we don't have to worry ourselves. But there is businesses that are affected way worse.
Yeah. Do you have any students overseas at the moment?
No, not from our club. No, we actually kind of hosted Cara as a bonus because we didn't send out anyone, but national-wide they had a few extra coming in than going out. So the district coordinator, she asked if we could take on another student this year. So we didn't send anyone yet, but her next host family has one brother, host brother, yeah, and he is thinking of going maybe in 2 years. So we're trying to tell him how it's going to be and what it's going to be like, and help him to go from our club.
Oh, very good. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Do you?
Do you have any questions, Cara?
Yeah, how's it going with you guys on the Coromandel?
Well, we're all homebound. We're all shut down, other than trips to get some food from the supermarket primarily. The only two places that are really open is the supermarket, service stations, and the pharmacy. Everything else is pretty well shut, and you can't do anything other than sort of go for a walk locally, very similar to you.
Yeah.
But everyone seems to be sticking to it pretty well, and hopefully it'll be effective and cutting things down. I think our infection rate in New Zealand is certainly a lot less than it is in many overseas countries, you know, the rate of infection. is considerably slower. It's still exponential at this stage, but it's still a lot less than it would have been. I think our government acted pretty quickly in shutting down, which has helped enormously in controlling the rate. So certainly our medical services are able to cope right now with the rate of infection, and hopefully they'll keep enough control of it, you know, to not be overwhelmed. But it's looking quite promising at this stage.
That's good.
And so we're going to have the cleanest, tidiest, most well-kept houses that we've ever had. We're all out there doing chores, cleaning and building and repairing.
Painting.
Until when is your lockdown so far announced?
Another 3 weeks at this stage. And they'll review it, but at this stage it's looking about another 3 weeks. But I guess it depends how effective the process is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we don't really know. It's all a bit of a, certainly I listened to some virologists who were interviewed who have a good deal of experience with the virus, and their message certainly was, don't underestimate it at all. Take it very, very seriously. And I think that people are heeding that advice pretty much, which is good. Because most of us are in the at-risk category, which is a bit scary. Over 65, you know, we're we're in the danger zone, so we have to really take note, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for joining in, everybody. We'll call the meeting to a close now. And I plan to do it at the same time each week.
I'm all on for that. Great idea.
So if everyone's keen, we will meet at 9 o'clock next Wednesday.
Okay.
Yep.
And we'll have a new guest speaker and see how we go. And hopefully we'll all stay fit and well.
Yep. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you, Warren.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Warren.
Thank
Good to meet you, Cara. See you again, Cara.
Have a good day.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jolene.
Bye-bye.